Thank
you very much, Honorable Speaker, to allow me to speak in such a very important matter in this House. Honorable Speaker, and from the onset, I oppose this particular report. And there is no way our government, in fact, for the first time, I'm ashamed to be a member of the Jubilee administration. Because there is no way, Honorable Speaker, we can have all these problems of drought all the way from the north to the south, all the way from the east to the west of our country, and the same government which is supposed to be protecting this forest is now purporting to bring petitions to petition this house to degazette part of the forest in the name that Ndorobos have always been living and Ogek inside the forest. If they have been living inside the forest, why degazette it in the first place? Let them live in the forest when it is still a forest. It is another way of the government trying to grab, because, Honorable Speaker, the government have become the highest grabber of our forest. If it is not because of the government, we will not be fighting in Mau. Because of the government, that is why there is problems of deforestation in this country. Because of the same government, Honorable Speaker, our forest cover is now at 1.7% against the required 10% forest cover for us to be at least, at minimum, comfortable, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is because of this government that have encouraged into Mau Forest, that have made people follow the government into Mau Forest, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if there was no roads in Mau Forest, no citizen of this country can buy land in Mau Forest, because they will know it is automatic, it is a forest. The government must first of all explain how schools, government schools, sponsored by CDF, sponsored by the government, are found inside Mau Forest. The government must first of all explain how teachers, duly paid by government, TSC teachers, are teaching in Mau Forest. And I doubt if monkeys need some lessons or some classes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the government must first of all explain, before bringing any petition of grabbing another forest, how chiefs are inside Mau Forest, how electricity was connected into our forest, before they bring any petition of alienating part of our forest, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the drought that we are facing, our people are dying, Honorable Speaker. We are beggars, literally, in 80% of our land mass, Honorable Speaker, of the arid and semi-arid areas, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we are tired as pastoralists from borrowing and begging from the government and from other quarters, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the highest job now for Red Cross is to feed some of our masses due to failed rains, Honorable Speaker, due to deforestation, Honorable Speaker. We are tired, Honorable Speaker, of having individuals, including people like Akode, donating foodstuff to people who can be self-reliant if our forest cover was at minimum 10%. We are at 1.7%, and they want to grab to take us where? To take us to 0%, Honorable Speaker. We cannot allow this. This House must stand its own feet and reject this report and not allow the government at any instant to grab an inch of any forest. If anything, we will urge the government to come up with ways of increasing our forest cover, including planting trees in all our public institutions, including schools, including chief camps, including health centers, road reserve, riparian areas. Let the government plant more trees to increase our forest cover, but not grab even an inch of our forest. We should, whether we have conflict or not, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, those people who die because of those conflicts are not better than those who are dying of thirst and of hunger, Honorable Speaker. Millions of us, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, our rivers are drying, Honorable Speaker. It is for the first time in history when I'm in Narok, Honorable Speaker, River Wasonguro dried, Honorable Speaker. Mara River dried, Honorable Speaker. Siabe River dried. Sondu Mirio, the Sontu River was reduced, the water level was reduced. Our electricity from Sondu Mirio is reduced, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we cannot allow, in fact, if anything, we should be getting petitions from this government to alienate part of our holding grounds into forest, Honorable Speaker. We will get petition from this government to go and conserve Boni Forest, Honorable Speaker. We will be getting petition of the government asking for funds from this house to allocate to fencing of Mao Forest, fencing of Mount Elgon Forest, fencing of Boni Forest, and other forests, Honorable Speaker. We will be getting petition from the government of how they can develop forest in the middle of arid areas, including Marsabit and Mandera and part of Narok and Kajiado, Honorable Speaker. We will not, this house will be in history books if it allows an inch of any of our forests, while our forest cover is at 1.7%. If we were at 15%, we will negotiate. If we were at 20%, we will negotiate. If we were at 11%, we will negotiate. But anything below 10%, all our forests must be conserved. And it beats logics that those we have put in power, the Ministry of Environment, which is supposed to conserve our environment, which is supposed to protect our water towers, is the same ministry that come with a petition here that it want to grab part of our forest, so that it can settle some people that they purport have always been living in the forest. If Ogieks are expert in living in the forest, let the forest remain and let the Ogiek live there. But I still repeat my statement that our forests are for monkeys, animals, and not human beings. Human beings, we only need 10% of our land mass. That translates to, Honorable Speaker, 14 million acres. All the rest, 126 million acres of the land mass of Kenya is for human settlement. Please, mutosheke na hiyo. Wacheni musitu, in quotes, Honorable Speaker.
Order.
Honorable Speaker, sorry. It was in quotes. So, Honorable Speaker.
It cannot be in quotes, Honorable Speaker. Don't try to circumvent.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so as I finish, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, we need to conserve our forests. And the least we expect from the Ministry of Environment is not to grab part of the forest, but to tell us how we can conserve the forest. I urge this House to stand in the right side of history, because we will be judged in future if we allow an inch of our forest to be grabbed. As a resident of Narok, Honorable Speaker, I have faced dramatic drought. I have seen people dying. I have seen animals dying. I have seen even our tourism almost collapsing, Honorable Speaker. I have seen children suffering from communicable diseases because of dirty water, Honorable Speaker. Long are the days when we used to drink clean water from springs, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this country must go back to where it was in terms of environment in the 1980s. It must go back there. It cannot go back there when it is the government that wants to grab our forests. The government must stop grabbing our forests. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I oppose.
Shall we have Honorable